What's up, everybody? This is Under the Arc Sports. I'm Eric.
And I'm David.
And today we are going to preview Mizzou's third game of the season against the defending champion LSU Tigers. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Under the Arc Sports on YouTube and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So, Dave, we're looking at a Missouri team that's 0-2, coming off that Tennessee loss. It was rough for the defense, but we got one answer to probably the biggest question: who's going to be the quarterback?
Yes, they got Connor Bazelak has been announced as our starting quarterback, which is really good because now neither guy will be looking over their shoulder, and the team, offensive line, offense in general, can have an official game plan going forward with what they want to run.
And I think that once Bazelak gets some repetition and really gets familiar with the offense, I think he has a chance to be an absolute stud. We've talked. He was this is his second year in the program. We were talking 2 years ago, and you would remember I've been high on this kid since he was a recruit. So I'm pumped. I feel like his ceiling is higher than Sean Robinson, but
I think it's a really good move, and I think down the road he'll have some competition with the guys coming in next year. What was it?
Tyler Macon. Tyler Macon.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see the competition next year too, with him coming in.
Right. Now with the defense, though.
I think the biggest worry this last weekend with the Mizzou defense was the defensive line. I saw somewhere that we didn't have a single tackle for loss in the game against Tennessee. Now, they have probably one of the biggest lines outside of Alabama in the country, everyone weighing over 300 pounds and whatnot. But that is a concern, and it's also why Tennessee pretty much moved the ball at will against us.
Yeah, there were Tennessee fans commenting on last week's preview video. They were super quick to point out how awesome their offensive line was, and there were a few of them commenting during the game because I guess they don't have anything better to do with their lives. Hey, see how good we are? Whatever.
I mean,
you're commenting on a stranger's video during your team's game.
To their credit, we probably didn't give them enough respect on the line. But
Tennessee's offensive line is better than I thought. Not the best in America, like those clowns were saying. But yes, the defensive line got zero push, just about zero pressure on the quarterback.
Also, how beat up were they from the Alabama game too? That's another question mark I would have. And now we're looking at LSU, another monster line.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting much from our defensive line this week.
No. And when you look at the look at the offense for LSU, they've got Miles Brennan is the quarterback, and he's been solid. I mean, he's been good. Let's not make any mistake. In 2 games, he's got 682 passing yards. It's not Joe Burrow. But, I mean, Joe Burrow, we're talking the best season in the history of collegiate quarterbacking, right?
Mm-hmm.
The offense also has running back John Emery Jr. He's pretty shifty. Then the leading receiver through 2 games, Terrace Marshall Jr., 189 yards. So just shy of 100 yards a game. Granted, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt are, you're not going to confuse them for the 85 Bears defense, but, I mean, it's still against conference competition. Before we get ahead of ourselves, this game has been moved, right, due to Hurricane Delta. It is still officially a home game for LSU, but it's going to be played in Columbia.
Now, a couple of things on that. How much is the travel going to affect LSU? Because now you're talking they were going to have 5 home games. Now you're talking 4 home games, plus they have to worry about what's happening down there with their families and friends and whatnot dealing with the hurricane.
Yeah, that's the biggest part right there is depending on where this storm makes landfall, they could be super distracted. I mean, because most of them are going to be from that area, the players on the LSU team. So I don't know.
I still worry about Mizzou's defensive line though. If you can't get any pressure, on the quarterback, I mean, you said what they put up 600 some odd yards passing in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
If you can't get any pressure on the quarterback, it's like the last 2 weeks Mizzou faced. They're just going to be standing back there waiting until someone gets open. You can't judge Mizzou's secondary because right now, without a defensive line to get any pressure, you're either calling blitzes and leaving guys wide open, or you're playing man-to-man. And with that, you just can't cover more than 6 or 7 seconds. You have to expect that someone's going to come open somewhere. So I worry about Mizzou getting passed on right and left. I mean, at this point, that's what I would do. I would start passing against Mizzou, and then that will open up the run game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't ask anything more out of the Missouri secondary. I'd go as far as to judge them positively. You said you can't judge them. I would judge them positively because they haven't been giving up 450 yards, and they easily could have.
But a lot of that is how much of that is the game is over already, and the other team just starts killing clock running the ball.
Well, I think as much as that, as the other team knows they don't need to pass for 450.
Right.
Because right now, defensive line, when they run the football, Missouri defensive line is just 4 turnstiles.
Right. And now for Mizzou offensively with Connor Bazelak back there, it opens up our passing game. When Robinson was the quarterback, they were doing a lot of read options, RPOs, and things like that. And the thing that really bothered me with Robinson was when he kept the ball, he was making bad reads, and he was running to the sidelines and running backwards. He was never running downhill.
Yeah, I didn't like his decision making did not seem sound in terms of keeping it versus handing it off to Roundtree or Beatty or whoever. And like you said, he was almost playing Big 12 football like he was back at TCU, thinking he was fast enough to just run around the edge.
Yeah, where Mizzou has been successful is just running straight. Anytime they try to go to the edge, we don't have the speed to get to the edge very well. So most of our run plays where we've had success have been either off tackles or further inside the box.
Yeah. Not to mention the SEC defensive ends are a different animal than defensive ends at Kansas State. Kansas.
Now, while our offensive line is not the greatest, I do wish we would throw downfield a little more.
Yes.
Against Tennessee, was it Bazelak had Jacinto?
Dominic Jacinto dropped an absolute dime.
Yeah. And he had everybody beat downfield and just right through the hands.
And when you look at LSU, it's not going to be any easier for Connor Bazelak throwing the football because LSU has Derek Stingley Jr., the best corner in America, probably. So whoever you want to call Mizzou's number 1 threat, Damon Hamilton, I guess, probably in for a long day. Because, frankly, I don't think any of Missouri's receivers are good enough to get by Derek Stingley Jr. except by accident.
Yeah, but I do still think we need to take more than 1 or 2 shots downfield just to open up our game a little bit.
Oh, I agree. You have to take the shots. Make them at least keep it in the back of their mind that you might.
Keeping them honest.
I just think I think your second and third receivers, Chisholm, where you at? He needs to do something. Jacinto. Somebody that's not being covered by Stingley has to do something.
Not drop the ball. We've had way too many drops.
Yeah.
Special teams wise, Mizzou, I really can't say a lot about Mizzou's special teams because other than punting the ball, I haven't seen a whole lot of it. However,
it's a real good thing we got a grad transfer kicker coming into Missouri here.
Yeah, and the coverage has been pretty good on the punts too. I guess my biggest issue is we do have a great leg, especially for our field goals. Who was it? Macy, who hit a 50-yarder? Or Minas, excuse me. Sorry, thank you. Hit a 50-yarder.
Yeah.
So we do have a field goal kicker who seems to be pretty accurate, and everything I've seen has been like right down the middle.
Exactly. Yeah, they
and that's
they're
nice.
Not, excuse me, squeak through field goals. They are, the 50-yarder looked like it would have been at. Was a 50-yarder in the second quarter? Was it against Tennessee? Looked like it would have been good for about 55.
Yeah, but more importantly, it was like right down the middle.
Yes, it was.
Like dead on.
Yeah.
So I mean, special teams aren't going to win your games right now, but it is nice to see that we have a solid kicker at Mizzou.
It's different. It's already showing glimpses of being different than it was under Odom when special teams were an absolute liability aside from Corey Fatoni.
Well, and I don't know if you paid attention, but all our kickoffs are through the end zone too. So there are no there haven't been any returns on the kickoffs, which is nice to see too.
Yes. Right. So we're running short on time. As far as a prediction for this game, I mean, LSU's ranked number 17 in the country, despite a loss to Mississippi State. They still are the defending national champions, even though everybody but Ed Orgeron and Mike the Tiger's gone. I like to think that Connor Bazelak, with a full week of practice as the guy, I assume they've been splitting first-team reps at quarterback. I think with a full week of practice as the guy and more familiarity with the system and maybe the not looking over your shoulder like you mentioned, I want to think the offense is going to do better. The defense, you got what you got for the most part. I'm going to go LSU 34-20 over Missouri. I think that 20 is giving Missouri offense the benefit of the doubt, but we'll see.
Yeah. My prediction for the game, I'm still going to go with 38-17. I think Mizzou will get a touchdown or two in this one. Win, I don't know. I just don't see the defense putting up much of a fight, especially being beat up the last two games on the line. Facing another solid SEC line. We're in the thick of some monster games right now, and we're not seeing any breaks. So I'm predicting 38-17 LSU. Anyway, this is Under the Arc Sports. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out our other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
See y'all.